Mr. Speaker, after months of hard work and collaboration, the China Task Force has released our final report, which includes more than 400 solutions to counter the growing threat of the Chinese Communist Party. This report is the framework for combating the aggressive Chinese Communist regime. After meeting with more than 130 experts, we developed a realistic and achievable solutions that take a comprehensive approach to strengthen Americans' national security and holding the Chinese government accountable. After meeting with more than 130 experts, we realized that our 400 recommendations are 180 legislative solutions, of which 64% are bipartisan and 1/3 have already passed either the House or the Senate. These are common sense solutions that we could vote on today to strengthen our strategic position for tomorrow. As the only physician serving on the China Task Force, it was my privilege to delve into opportunities to strengthen our supply chains and ensure that Americans are never again beholden to the Chinese government for key medicines or healthcare supplies. On the Technology Committee, I led efforts to strengthen the supply chains for medicines, for semiconductors, and other vital materials. Congress has passed several provisions aimed at advancing research and the manufacturing of critical medical supplies here in the United States. We also created new reporting requirements to help us better understand international supply chains and counter vulnerabilities in the system. To bolster our technology supply chain, I co-sponsored H.R. 7178, the CHIPS Act, to increase domestic production of advanced semiconductors, which will help Americans to develop next-generation telecom technology, fully automated systems, and even, and importantly, new weapons systems. I also introduced the OR Act, H.R. 7812, to incentivize the domestic production of rare earth materials, which is key to breaking the Chinese monopoly on critical supply chains. America cannot allow China to win the race to the next generation technology. We want innovative breakthroughs to happen here in this country, and the China Task Force is making progress through the legislative process. As a leader on the Competitiveness Committee, I focused on issues ranging from combating Chinese communist-sponsored theft of intellectual property to exposing the influence of the Chinese in U.S. research institutions and countering the importation of illicit fentanyl. Too often, American companies are being coerced to surrender intellectual property to the Chinese government in order to gain entry into the Chinese marketplace. In extreme cases, we hear of outright theft by Chinese hackers and agents. The China Task Force has produced recommendations that direct the federal government to ramp up investigations of individuals acting as pawns of the Chinese Communist Party and enforce anti-theft laws. Our nation has also seen wholesale efforts of the Chinese government to steal research and gain influence at United States universities. In my own backyard, the FBI arrested a former Penn State researcher suspected of espionage. The task force has compiled provisions to increase transparency and accountability in the higher education system. And I introduced legislation to close loopholes and force the disclosure of all foreign money in our research systems. Finally, we must stop illicit fentanyl from reaching our communities and killing our neighbors. The China Task Force has produced recommendations to stop the importation of these devastating analogs from China. In the House, I co-sponsored legislation to hold foreign nations, including China, accountable if they fail to cooperate with the U.S. narcotic control efforts and prosecute the production of fentanyl in their countries. And I thank Senator Toomey for championing this provision in the Senate. By implementing these solutions, we can make America safer, stronger, and better equipped to lead in the 21st century. The China Task Force, final report is a framework. It's our playbook to make a difference. while our work on this report has finished, our commitment to this case must and will continue. Phase 2 starts today. Thank you, and I